Hello and welcome to Musical Exploring Music with Kalyani. Today we are in the third and final episode of this short series called Keeping It Real, and today our guest is Patrick from Oslo. Hi Patrick.
Namaskar, namaskar. Good evening.
We are very lucky to have Patrick over here, who is a flautist and who has been learning from so far away from India and from so far away from the motherland of this Hindustani classical music. And I am really happy to introduce to all of you Patrick, who is also present on social media as SaReGaMaPatrick. So, most welcome, Patrick, on Musical, and let us start the discussion without any further delay.
Let's do it.
So, Patrick, first of all, what I would want to understand is where did this idea of learning Indian flute come from? Like you are not born and brought up in India, that you had Indian music around you and that you wanted to learn it, but it must have come from somewhere where you felt that okay, I should do this.
Yeah, so in the beginning, really, when I was around 10 years old, I was a drummer in a marching band. So sort of picked up rhythm and played music a little bit. Um, but then later on, I left drumming and started into like, studies and that sort of thing. But when I was maybe 17, 18 years old, I was really fascinated by Mongolian and Chinese music. So I got invested into that. I got myself a small Chinese flute just to fiddle with it. But then one day, my brother, he showed me a YouTube concert of Ustad Zakir Hussain and Rakesh Charasya, um, which just really mesmerized me and completely fell in love with the art form and just the beauty of the music. Um, and the thing was that I didn't understand any of it, but I loved it. So I just had to sort of dig deeper and find out more about it.
Now, once you decided that you wanted to do this, I'm sure you must have faced a lot of hurdles in the first and foremost thing, which is finding a teacher, because as much as you would want to learn from videos or from tutorials, online tutorials, Hindustani classical music is not an art form that you can learn without a teacher. So, how did you start your talim, and how did it develop in the later years?
So basically, after that concert clip, I was really fascinated by especially Rakesh and Zakir. But then so I started sort of digging deeper into the music and finding Hari Prasad and finding all the maestros, sort of uncovering sort of this truth almost. Um, so then I was one day I was searching on the web because I didn't know anything anywhere else to look. So I just searched for a Bansuri teacher or Bansuri player in Oslo, and then I found Tal Coleman. She's a disciple of Hariji, and is from Israel. So I started going to her a couple times a month for about a year. So I got my initial sort of uh, beginning and training from her. Um, earlier on, I of course had to get myself a bansuri, uh, and so that was also the first time practicing with in classical flute, you play the E bansuri, which is the quite large flute. So it was a real test also in the beginning to play with someone. So that was sort of the initial training, eventually going on to finding I met a tabla player whose name is Tarak Dutta and played with him quite a lot. And then I met his guru. His name is Pandit Nabankur Bhattacharya, and is a senior disciple of Anindo, Pandit Anindo Chatterjee. So I learned with him also. Started learning a little bit of tabla, and learning accompanying and sort of the other side um, of 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 the the face of music. So you have the raga which I got from tal, and then I get more uh, you know tala, and that's from Nabankur. So so this started just balling it up. Suddenly, Tal had to do some own business, so she had to um, stop teaching, and so I had to find my own sort of like self studies, which is basically, you take a video clip or whatever, or audio clip, and you zoom in and you slow it down and you really look at the details and study it. And just, the plain practice, which I tell many of my students, is just uh, if you have an audio clip if you say, for example, Hariji is playing Rag Yaman, for example, then you play exactly like he does so you're basically mimicking. So that was sort of the one of the ways I got the technique by my own after Tal. Um, and from after that, I met Hariji in Rotterdam, which was very very blessed moment. Was with a workshop with him, uh, where we heard stories and we had conversations and everything. So it was very very fortunate moment for me. And also, I in 2019 I went to India for about a month, and there I got training from a local teacher. His name is Ashok Kumar Karmakar, who then lives in Calcutta. So I went to him for about one one week, or like 7, 8, 9 days, something like this. Rigorous training, 7, 8 hours a day. You eat with him, you do everything. So I really got the taste of the real uh, taste of the Guru Shishya sort of style of learning. So that's more or less like how I got my, like, you could say, official training. Other than that, I play by my own and have my students and that sort of thing.
And I must say, like, after having heard your lives and your videos on internet, I must say that all of that has, you know, fructified, and it has culminated into a very, very beautiful art form that you have, you know, that you have literally, what do you say, you have actually, you have imbibed it in yourself, which is
Like there are many moments where in the initial phases, just learning SaReGaMaPaDaNisa, SaReGaMaPaDaNisa, just learning this. When I was walking, I was counting the talas. I was trying to mimic the speed of walking which the tabla was going in. It was like da din din na. Then I was stepping, sort of. So as you
yeah.
say, you embody it. You listen to it every day. You listen to it every time you're doing something or anything. So you are getting this unconscious learning in a way.
Right.
Sometimes you play and you play something which you've heard earlier. It's like, there it is. There's many moments like that which you learn.
Right. So, just to go a little deeper into that, Patrick, could you describe a little more about your time with Hariji? You know what his classes would be like, or how you would train under him, etc.
Uh-huh. So I didn't train. It was one workshop which I work with him. Uh, and so this was at Rotterdam, where he was teaching at a school. It's called Code Arts. Um, and for many, many years, Hariji has been teaching there for, I think it was a month, a year. So I was there in May, so May, June time, uh, where he then had programs and he had students at the school. So through Tal, my first teacher, I went to her, saw her, and she told me like you have to go see Hariji. Uh, so she gave me a contact who's and her name is Rohini Sahajpal. She's a sitar player here in Oslo, and she's a very close friend to Hariji. She's been like many times at the Gurukul and every time, everything like this. So I contacted her, and now we're sort of, artist friends, colleagues, you could say. Um, so she helped me hook up like the when and where to be when Hariji was there. So it was in I just took a spontaneous flight to Rotterdam or to Amsterdam, then train. I didn't know if he was gonna show, if he was not gonna show. It's like it was all just like I just took a leap of faith. So on the second day, I got a message from Rohini, and she said like tomorrow he's gonna come, so you must be at Kodash at this place, blah blah blah. So I went and I came 2 3 hours before, sitting there just waiting, and then when he came, it's like this God moment when he comes walking up the door, walking up. Rohini was behind him, uh, and I remember like him, Rohini introduced me to him. So like, oh, this is Patrick, and I touched his feet and everything. It's like, oh, Patrick, is I heard a lot about you, and it's like, oh my God, I can't believe what I'm, any, I couldn't really react. I was just humbled and put into place. So uh, Guruji was uh, then led on to the workshop, the room which we are going to do. So we're a bunch of students sitting there already, uh, sitting in a half circle. I was sitting to his right, so he's first to his right, and his the beginning of the class was just play. So then we each took a moment to play, and me being at his right, I was the first to begin. So I was really like my heart raced to the heavens, with all these new people I have never met or anything. Just humble me coming from Oslo. Uh, so uh, so I played Alap in Yaman, then he asked for composition, and sort of I played a composition in Rupak. Then he asked for Bhairav, which I've never played at that time. So I just took also then a leap of faith and just played some Alap, and then he asked for a composition. It's like I can't do it. I have to give up. So then he really took some time to talk a little bit about Bhairav and that sort of thing. So we each took a moment like this with every student. So you have lots of I think we spent maybe 2 3 hours just like that, like this. And after this, then Guruji had to leave because he was, or no, the students were leaving because they had to go to another class. But me and another Bansuri player, which I got to know, his name is Ivan Vendematti or something, I think. Sorry, Ivan, if I can't. Um, is a Brazilian Bansuri player. So we sat there and we talked with Guruji for about maybe 2 hours, and he, you know, explained so much, and we talked about everything, music, life. It was such a God feeling moment.
We should make sure to share this video and have people to share it so much that it actually reaches even, okay?
Oh, that would be
Yes. So, okay, jokes apart, but so now coming to you started your I mean you started your training there only in Oslo, and there on you continued it, and you also happened to come to India for your training.
amazing.
So Patrick, the question I want to ask is twofold. You must have faced a lot of challenges. One would be material challenges, like first of all, getting the instrument, getting the right instrument. What if something happens to the instrument in that particular weather? Because the weather in India and in Norway is 180 degrees apart. So the flutes, the Indian flutes that are made, they are made to suit, which are suitable for the Indian environment, Indian weather, etc. So what if something happens to the instrument that way, or if you have to get it tuned or something, or if you need to get it done in a particular make, etc. So those kinds of challenges is one part of it, and the second part of it is your the social kind of challenges, because you are so geographically far away from India. uh, what is the kind of audience that you would receive for a music form like this? What is, because this sound itself is different, it's unique from what people over there must be familiar with. So getting them accustomed to this kind of sound, this kind of music, the basically the thought process of Indian classical music, which in itself is a little difficult to understand, but once you get into it, then there is a lot of pleasure that uh,
Yeah.
awaits you. So I would like you to talk about both these kinds of challenges.
Right. So regarding material and the bamboo, as you say, it's made in totally different climate. And so in India you have sort of this wet and hot climate. Up here is cold and dry. So it's totally opposite. So we have to be very careful with the flute once we have it. But we buy them from India. They're made in India. You have makers who I know a maker who's for example from Italy, which is a little higher or more north. So I'm lucky because I have this own my sort of my own flute maker. Of course, he makes flutes to other people, but I have really good contact with him. Uh, so So I received a flute from him, a gift flute, because I believe he saw me on social media somewhere. Uh, um, then luckily my friend Tarak was in India at that time, so he received the flute, so I got it easily. And I was impressed with the quality and that I got it for free, of course. So I got his contact and really got to become friends with him, really. So we created this bond, and I bought some flutes, and I was impressed, and I said, we need to tweak a little bit. Can you do this? Can you do this? And then he really is such a heart felt guy. Sunil, his name. Um, and so it makes it so much easier to get custom flutes in a way, because otherwise a flute player or a newly a beginner, in flute, usually in the western parts or in Europe and America and that sort of thing, they will more or less use a website like Punam Flutes or something like so they don't have like direct contact with the maker. It's sort of this almost this factory. flute. Um, I'm not saying Punam flute is a factory flute, but you know, but that's uh, when you get to that level of talking with directly the maker, then you really get so much more advantage. Because, for example, now I'm receiving a flute which is tuned a little bit higher than normal because I want to experiment it within in colder environment. Because usually you have to for concerts you have to have uh, heated up halls or whatever, and you have to heat up the bamboo like using for example, also I'll show you. I'm very careful with my bamboo. This is a flute which I just have it. I've have it in a sort of this sock which I make. So it's keeps it a little bit more comfortable, and you can so then you heat it up and it's a little bit more protective. So with that, since it's colder here, they are more easily to break because the way a flute breaks is that it's if it's cold, then you breathe hot air into it, then the difference in air will cause the wood to expand too quickly, and then you have a crack. So 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 you really have to take time. If it's winter, then it's usually say -5 to -10 to maybe -15 degrees, So then you have to really adjust to for example, if you're going from a hot place, you have to put it inside a quite large tube with maybe more insulation and that sort of thing. And when you come back in again, if you've been outside, then the flute is maybe 0 degrees or -degrees. So then you have to really take time for it to. So you can't really take it out right away and play it. Then it's ice cold. So you have to take this sort of be cautious about the flute and that sort of thing. Yeah. Um, and now for the second part, um, yes, in Norway there's not that much knowledge about Hindustani classical. There are pockets of communities here and there. In the 70s, there was a large immigration from Pakistan, so we have quite a good Pakistani communities here. So it's Hindustani. Um, so when I play concerts, uh, I or my mission here in Norway is to spread the beauty of Hindustani classical or Indian classical music. Um, and the way I think I go go on about it is that I try to play as classical as possible. I rarely enjoy playing fusion or something with other instruments than, for example, tabla. You have tabla, flute, and tampura. That's like sort of this uh, way I really want to present the art form. But that's, as you say, it's a different sound, and it's a little bit hard to understand. So I also take these precautions by explaining a little bit before I play. And I do it I've tested with this. I've some concert I explain quite a lot and see if the audience catch it. Sometimes I explain a little bit about the tala, rhythmic cycle, that sort of thing. And sometimes I don't explain at all and I just play. So it depends on the audience also, because you have different audiences. Um, so I try to, as I said, try to keep it as classical as possible and see if people bite or not, or if it sticks with them some way.
So, if I can say this, you are sticking to the purest form of the music, so that first that is introduced to your audience instead of kind of mixing it up and complicating things for them to understand.
In a way, because you many people have also heard Bansuri before that they don't know, you know?
Ah.
Like it's something which I've discovered also just tabla and bansuri, sitar also like many people, many instruments. You will hear them just like in the background of in a song or something, just being added. So many people have it sort of this unconscious, they know it unconsciously. So I want to bring it from because I've experienced this. That's I played it front of friends or something, you know. It's like, ah, this I know. Is this flute? Which and then they take from the recording and then they show. It's like, ah, yes, this is Bansuri. So it's like, ah, so 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 it's interesting to see how many people are already really or some people. I wouldn't say many people, but some people are already accustomed with the sound. They just don't know what or where it comes from.
So, Patrick, uh, taking a cue from this kind of, community building sort of that sort of an exercise, you have also been in the role of a teacher. So, as a teacher, when you are teaching flute to your students, what is it that you have observed? How many people are actually interested, and especially your experience in person training and in online training. Uh, what is the response that you receive from people, and usually what is the tendency like? Is it just for the sake of it, or do they really want to understand, or what is the kind of age group that comes to you? Which are the sort of people that stick around, etc.
So I've been teaching for about maybe 4 years, and I've I've been teaching children. Uh, my youngest student has been 7-year-old, so it's really young, which was very difficult, even though I work as a kindergarten teacher. So I work with kids. But so you have, of course, there are sort of parents, who want their kids to play. So it's sort of it been that type of group which I've been teaching. And then you have of course the online people. Or my student which I'm teaching online. Like I have been teaching, for example, in Sydney, or a guy from Sydney. You have Canada, you have America, you have Germany, you have India, and so you really get a picture of how different people interpret it in a way, or how they want to learn. I've had, for example, a kirtan player in America wanting to learn flute, and then you have uh you know and a 60-year-old who just wants to learn a song, or just to want to learn to play because it's been always in his dream, that sort of thing. So by doing online, you get sort of this broader specter of what people or how people view Bansuri. And it's also interesting to learn because or to teach through online, because there are limiting factors to it. So so that's sort of one aspect of it, and then comes with the opposite, which is like in person. Here in Oslo, I have currently I have three serious players, which I meet. Now it's been a little time, but met them once a week before the summer. After some, one had a kid, one's work problem, so it's different. These are people, doing it as a hobby, but they are really interested in the art form. So so whether or not they want to play professionally or not, like I don't know, but that's not been my, I haven't asked them that. I think that's not important. Because when you just have this genuine appreciation of the flute, then that's enough for me. Then sure, I'll teach you.
Okay, so before we move to the final topic of the discussion, uh, I would like to know your take on social media. And there are two sides to it. One is, the kind of content that comes on social media from musicians, and secondly, how are musicians getting affected by social media? That uh, social media is the reality of our life. Okay, this interview is happening because of social media, and we cannot deny that at one point of time. This is all inevitable, it's a part of the change that the world is going through. But how much should it affect a practicing musician? Okay, and whether it actually reflects, or whether what is it that the audience also needs to understand, the real story behind every reel, which is also kind of the underlying factor behind this series. So I would like to know your take on that.
Right, so with social media is like a double-edged sword in a way that it can really deceive you, but it can also be a great tool, you know. Um, so one thing which I always have in mind regarding my use of social media is that everything I post is a facade. It's a mask, sort of, to show who you are. Because if you, as you, in a way, if you were to show every part of your life, then sure, that's real, you know, in a way. Every part of your life. So you're only showing small bits of your life. So you need to really have this understanding that these are the only things which, like, these are only representations and they're only bits of your life. So, for example, and or to say it rather, that everything you post, it's something you choose to post. It's like you always choose the best photo. You take 100 photos and you go through everyone and you take, this is the one I have to. This is me, you know. But all other 100 photos, that's still you, you know. But this is a side you're not showing. So the way you present yourself on social media is, uh, it's only on the surface. You show your surface. So as you were saying that, like, this meeting is only because of social media. So now we're digging underneath the surface to figure out, we're going past what Instagram or whatever platform you use can do. Um, so so for every young, or especially young musicians, they have to know this fact that what you post online is only a, a fragment of what you are, and not to be deceived by this image which you project. When you go, uh, for example, if you are scrolling on Instagram, for example, if you take it, then you go to your profile and you go through what you post. So you sort of refresh or you're sort of reconfirming who you are to yourself by going thinking, this is me, this is nice. And then you maybe see something later which is not nice, and then it's, this is not me anymore. It's like, so so you have to have this really deep understanding that that it's only a fraction of who you are. So that's also, I consciously, when I post, I see that, here I have to do better. Here I did something wrong. But I'm still gonna post it because I think this part is nice. So you have to sort of I talked with a friend of mine earlier on that, we fail all the time. So it's nothing, or what you could say is like failing or not succeeding is beautiful in itself. So if you're not failing, then you're doing something wrong in a way, because
Right.
failing and not succeeding is the way you develop yourself. So everything comes around. It's sort of this yin yang, that that uh, that when you post something online, you also post your unsuccessful parts, because then you're also showing, and this is something which I think you're showing that you're not perfect, because a lot of people will post perfect pictures, like I said, with 100 photos. They find the perfect one. It's like, I know that I have followers, so I feel that there's a responsibility. Not that I like 100% say that it's my responsibility to follow what every other people is doing, but I know that I have some influence. So I know that if I post something which is uh which if I post a mistake or something, then it shows that I'm a human, that I also am a person behind the mask. I'm not the mask. So this is a very, important point to get to, and to understand when you're on social media. And I think this goes for not just musicians, but just every, you know social media platform. You're showing the best parts of yourself, and you know that. So try to be humble, and show that where you fail, that sort of thing. So it's a practice you can also do.
Right. Actually, that was a very beautiful insight. And I hope the viewers of musical will think over it. I am tempted to think over it right now. But
And this is
negative.
why, this is why I don't feel some urgency to post something on Instagram. I know now that's maybe 2 weeks I posted, but I use Instagram more or less every day, just checking up on friends and interests and that sort of thing. So I know that, but I'm not pushing myself to post, because this is also something which Instagram has this algorithm. It really highlights, and it wants frequent activity. If you post every day, you get more likes, you get more followers, you get more attraction. So if you follow it, then you're gonna sort of feed into the system. So it's a practice also to not feed into the algorithm, to not post every day. So I know, for example, now, which I've not posted for a while, I don't see a lot of followers and so, but that's not my goal in a way. It's not my goal to get them tons and thousands of followers. Follow me if you like. I'm not trying to buy you to follow me. And that's also one thing which I see, and this is also something, which the algorithm also wants, that people, say, uh, hit like and subscribe, because then it feeds into the dopamine system, and it's everything. It's such a complicated thing. So it's to try to find these sort of these hits which they try to get you, and try to not look away, or to try to look away. Uh, So almost like, many people take technology breaks. They don't use, or social media breaks, because it is a serious addiction, and it could be damaging quite heavily.
Right. So, well, moving on to the final and last part of the interview. Uh, Patrick, the next question is about future. You have been performing now for a while, and you've also been teaching. So one is your future plans, if you have any. Like, if there's anything coming up, or you are recording or publishing something, you can use musical to announce that, if musical is privileged enough. And the other part which I want to ask is, where do you see this art form going? Which direction do you see it's going to? From the perspective of the performers as well as from the perspective of the audience.
So for my future plans, I don't have much future plans, other than practice. I don't have any, and now it's winter time, so it's cold outside, so you have to stay a lot indoors. So I don't have any concerts planned or anything. So I'm focusing on Riyaz and work because I also have to work. Um, but maybe I have in mind some album ideas, but it's in the works, so we'll see about it. Uh,
Okay.
so and for the future of like music generally, is that it's always evolving into each other. It's getting more fusion esque, you know. Um, you see people blending, culture blending. Uh, I think you'll just see this continuation that everything is gonna blend with each other and fuse into, but you're also gonna have the tradition standing. You're gonna have sort of this, uh, I would say in music now, you could maybe say you have three categories. You have pop music or popular music. For example, everything which been played on radio, what everything is like hitting on top in Spotify, that sort of thing. Then you have sort of, I would maybe say world music, just generally, because it's music from all other parts of the world and also the parts of the world where popular music is made. For example, like indie music and that sort of thing, independent, like ambient music, rock artists, but just independent. And then you have the third, which is traditional music, which is then, Hindustani classical, Western classical, Carnatic, you have Latin American music, sort of all of these sort of pillars in music. So I sort of see it as this, nothing is better than the other. A great quote from Ustad Amjad Ali Khan. Um, there's only two kinds of music: appealing music and non-appealing music. So basically, music that you like, music that you don't like. So you listen to what you like, but you don't, you know, piss on the other type of music, you know. So you're being respectful. You keep what you to your side of the bed in a way. So I think everything is just gonna evolve together, and you're gonna have these pillars, and yeah, it's gonna be great.
All right. So on that positive note, I think we can close the session. All right. Then thank you so much, Patrick, for agreeing to do this interview with a small channel like Musical. And this is the kind of encouragement that Musical needs at this stage, so that we build up to something better. We build up to something that we are looking forward to. So thank you so much once again for joining in. I hope that the viewers of Musical have gotten some insights out of this a beautiful discussion that Patrick just had with me. And uh, do let me know in the comment section what were your best takeaways from this discussion, and Yes, of course, share this video with as many people as you can. And if you like this interaction, do press the like button out there, and subscribe to my channel for more such content. I'm putting links to Patrick's social media in the description below. You should actually go and see his page. It is an absolute treat to the ears, as I have said it many times.
Oh, stop it.
And I mean, I think it's I mean, I would be a fool if I wouldn't say it. But you know, so do check his profile also out, and subscribe to my channel for more such content, and I'll see you again on Saturdays. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.